Hey, all you Cleveland motards. So here's what we've got for you today. This is the Benelli 302S. This is their latest 300. And this bike is being built for them in Asia by QJ. And we've just signed up with SSR. And they've shipped us our first consignment of bikes. And this is part of that consignment. We were very interested in this bike because of the reputation it has in the overseas European and Asian market. So what is it? Well, there's a lot of parts and there's a lot of design elements that you're going to see on a lot of different motorcycles. Now, that rear suspension system, that looks an awful lot like they pulled it right off of a Kawasaki 650, right? So there's that swing arm that leads in a perfectly linear fashion up towards the neck of the motorcycle, and big monoshock in the back. And the monoshock does appear to be a really nice piece of equipment. It's very adjustable. It has a lot of preload available to it. And then you go back to that rear end and you got this big alloy wheel. And the wheel looks fantastic. It's a nice looking piece of furniture. Now, get on there and see that it's got Angel tires. So that was very surprising to me, to see that this motorcycle would ship to us with Pirelli Angel tires. And I've been using Pirelli Angels for years. My wife had them on her SV650S. We've used them on the track. We used them on the street. They are really, really good tires. And to see them as standard equipment on this bike is a very good sign. The bike itself, very aesthetically pleasing, good-looking bike. Take a look at the foot pegs. The foot pegs have the balls built into the ends of them. I know it's a small thing, but for anybody who's had those things run up against their inner ankle, you'll appreciate having the balls on the ends. The swing arm, take a look at the adjusters. So the adjusters are fantastic. The swing arm itself is a really nice looking piece of equipment. It comes with the spools already on it for the track stands. Very, very good attention to detail. You'll notice that on the shift and the brake lever, it has that adjustable cam, so you can set it up for whatever particular type of shoe or boot you wear when you ride. That's another nice piece of attention to detail. Really impressive, keeping in mind this is a Chinese-made bike. Now, granted, there's tons of bikes that are made in China for BMW and everybody, but the reason we're calling attention to it is most people don't think of Benelli. It's just not something that's on your radar. They've been around since about 1911. Just not real popular in this country. Now, also take a look, front suspension on this. We've got, the inverted upside-down front forks. We got the wave rotors. They appear to be good equipment. Now, there's not going to be anybody's brand name on there that you will recognize. I'm believing that these are either pattern or they are from companies that do build brakes for companies you may have heard from. I've seen that caliper before, and it usually has the word Brembo stamped on the side of it, so it's something that I'm aware of. When I figure out what brake pads it uses, that'll tell us what company makes that and where it comes from. Really, though, liquid-cooled, 8 valves, 305cc motor. Actually, I think the motor is actually a true 300 even. I know they call the bike a 302S, but I believe it's a 300cc motor on the side. I think that's what I can see there. But you'll see it has all the good stuff we look for. It's got the sight glass. So instead of a dipstick, we got the sight glass. The amount of machining and the amount of engraving. So what do we see? We see the GT engine, Benelli stamped right on the side since 1911. Really good components. Really, everything looks really nice. It's got the fully adjustable levers. So that's a big thing for me, is I like the adjustable levers. I dig that. Funny thing is, it's got the switchblade key, kind of a clever little thing. And it comes with 3 keys. So you get 1 main key and 2 extra keys. This bike does not have ABS, and it does not have traction control out of the crate. It just comes as a standard normal motorcycle. So I'm going to go ahead and hop on the bike real quick so you guys can see the display. So go ahead and turn the display on for you. It is a fuel-injected motorcycle. It is a 6-speed motorcycle. I love the fact that, of course, we've got some really interesting-looking readout here. Everything is digital except for our idiot lights on the side. So you've got your engine light, which, of course, that's going to give you your basic engine extra, the MIL light. Turn signals left and right, neutral light, and then you go through, there's a water temperature light, a low fuel light, high beam, low beam indicator light. So bunch of stuff on the bike, a lot of information up here. On the dash itself, we've got a mode button over here that takes us through trip A, trip B, and total miles, and it also allows you to adjust your clock. It does not have ambient temperature on here, which again, that's just a thing. I like seeing an ambient temperature gauge on all the bikes I ride. You'll see the tach goes up to 12, and what I can tell you is, we're still breaking the bike in, so we're not going to do anything crazy with it. But I can assure you that at about 11,000, maybe 11,250, that's when the rev limiter hits. It is electronic rev limiter, so it is going to stop that right away. You will see that there is a preload adjustment screw on the top of the right front shock, or right front fork. So let's go ahead and fire it up. Okay, fuel injected bike. It will settle into its own idle. Really, controls are just the same as you'd see on anything. They are not low quality. I know on a lot of the bikes that are made in China, you're used to seeing some really, really low quality components. I don't see that on this bike. What I'm seeing is some witness marks, some setup marks from the factory. I've seen them on a lot of the bike. There's a lot of white paint on here, so there is some good QC going on. And then this nice big collar for the steering head bearings. So decent amount of kit on here, decent amount of gear that's nice, higher end than I would expect to see in an Asian produced vehicle. So the levels are coming up. The warning stickers that are on here are not clear coated on. That's nice. You will be able to take those off. So if you do want to remove those, you won't have to damage the clear coat of the bike to do so. Obviously, it's settled into a nice 1200 RPM. Let's take it around the neighborhood. And, this is a 300cc parallel twin. It's an 8-valve motor, so we're expecting it to be a rever. We'll see how it does. And we'll just see the way it acts. Clutch action is really good for a brand new bike. Very little break-in done to it. About 8 miles on the clock, but it feels really good. Now, of course, this is, EPA compliant, so it has a cat involved. It'll be a low decibel output. I don't expect it's going to sound fantastic at all, but I do hope that it's got a pleasing tone. There's nothing bad about it. It doesn't sound like a bag of bolts, and it doesn't sound cackly. It doesn't sound cheap, for lack of a better term. Sounded good. Let's hear it again. Do this. Really nice. Good roll on for second gear there. It's not anemic, that's for sure. There certainly is some power there. The fuel mapping feels really nice. Yeah, no problem, no stutters, no spits. Yeah, no holes in the power band at all. Pulls real good. Yeah, nothing wrong with that. Don't want to push it too hard. Tires are still new, motor's still new, but just giving you a basic idea. So about 45 miles an hour in second gear is where you're going to see that rev limiter. Brakes do feel excellent. Front brakes are great. There's very little dive on the front end, if any. So give them credit for that. I mean, this is basic setup out of the box. We've done nothing to this bike other than uncrate it and put it together, basic PDI. So when you've got something that feels that good, not a lot of dive, good, real good feel at the lever, that's an excellent sign. Do like that. Pretty cool. Keep in mind, this bike is a 300. If you want to compare it to venerable bikes like the the R3 CVR 300 or a GSX 300 R, then what you're probably going to notice is this one does, I'm not going to say it sits higher, it sits a little bit more upright. I'm not going to say that the seat height's any higher. I'm going to say that the riding position is more traditional Street Fighter. It's more like the CV500F in its riding position, which I prefer. You know, the bikes that have the full-on Cafe Racer maximum aggression tuck, that's not my personal favorite. So a bike that has this a little bit more of an upright riding position, I'm still leaned into it, you know, I still got the wind on my chest. Yeah, it does feel really nice, super smooth, and the power rolling on and off the power is really nice. We'll go ahead and put it in third gear, and we'll hear some more of the RPM. Yeah, that's absolutely fine. Yeah, it does feel really nice. Super smooth motor. I mean, super smooth power delivery. No holes in it at all. I gotta say, the power application, being that it is a parallel twin, it's only 300 cc's, 4-valve motor. You know, it's going to do most of its work using the revs, and so launching it, you're going to have to give it some revs and going to have to be playing the clutch. So I'll be real interested to see how it breaks in and how it acts after we get some miles on it. But it certainly is a smooth bike, and it's got a very easy clutch off the block. So that's nice. You don't have to feed it a ton of gas to get the bike going. It feels a lot like a 500 twin power-wise. So they've done some magic with that 300 cc's. Now, Harley-Davidson's going to be having this bike available under their name, and I don't know if it's going to be just in the Asian market or if we're going to see them sneak into America. But they're going to Benelli. They've announced that Benelli will be making the bike, or in this case, QJ, or building the bike for them. So now I have read that they're going to use a different top end. It's still going to be a 350cc, but what they're going to do is they're going to use the same bottom end in a larger diameter top end. So getting them another 40 cc's out of the deal. So far, this one's really nice. I do dig it. Riding position is okay. Again, 6'1", 200 pounds, sitting on a motorcycle. I'm back on the seat as far as I feel comfortable based on the design of the seat. There's clearly another, 4 or 5 inches I could slide forward with no problem. It's a narrow bike. I like a narrow bike. I like my knees to be in to the cutouts of the tank, and they certainly are on this machine. There is no, it's not shoving my legs out in an uncomfortable position. There's nothing rubbing against my knees, like when I was riding the TNT 135 earlier, that little Benelli. If you're not sitting way back on the seat, it is cutting into your knees, whereas this is no problem at all. This thing's giving you plenty of. Let's do a little hogs back. I like to do hogs back. There's a couple of bumps in there, and that'll usually test if you got a bike that's got a decent suspension setup. Really flattens them right out. Bikes that have problems, they don't respond well to this road. Yeah, gotta say, brakes are really nice. No problem with those at all. Nice. A good little get up from the go. Obviously, she likes being closer to 8,000 RPM than 5,000 RPM. Yeah, definitely gives the power delivery more like a Suzuki GS 500 than a traditional 300. So that's really nice. You know, the biggest thing is with a lot of the 300s, they can feel a little anemic. And I'm going to go on record and say 10K is probably the best shift point that I felt so far. Just like these 300cc motors like this, they kind of act like two-strokes. So if you can imagine an old 250 Gamma or an RD, more likely an RZ, that's more the power delivery. That's the same feeling. So if you've ever ridden an RZ 350, it's a lot, very much the same rev and the same power. Really fun bike to blast around the neighborhood on, or have a little bit of hooliganism without going 130 miles an hour. Let's go ahead and put her in sixth, and let's see how she lugs. Under 40 miles an hour, sixth gear, 4,000 RPM. Little motors don't like this at all. Nope, no bucking, no anger. It's just fine, poking along. Okay, let's give it a power. See how she comes up. It comes up, yeah. Much happier in fourth gear, though. I think that 6,000 to 10,000 RPM is where this bike likes to be. Yeah, that's real nice throttle response, fourth gear, 6,000 RPM. Got a happy motorcycle here. Now, these are about $4,300, so price point pretty low. And I believe they stand on a 1-year unlimited mileage warranty. So they I've talked to people who've been dealers for the line for quite a while, and they do like them. They've had very, very high amounts of success with them. For us, this is a test. This is an experiment. I've been anti-China for a very long time, and it's really taken a lot to get me to sign on the dotted line for a bunch of units. We'll see how these do. Gotta say, so far, it's better than a Suzuki GSX 250R by far. It's right in the hunt with an R3. Feeling of quality, brakes. The front fork on this thing feels way better. The suspension feels way better than the R3. Really nice. That is just, it's a good brake. It's a good feeling. Yeah, grunting it out, third gear. Absolutely the wrong gear. Should have been in second gear for that, and you know what? It didn't punish me. Now let's go up Old Lorraine. Old Lorraine's a terrible road, so we'll see how she does on this bumpy piece of crap. Yeah, just an awful road. Look at the pavement conditions. Crap. 7 different layers of asphalt. Yeah, it's just a really junky road, giant holes in it everywhere. Usually if a bike can keep its composure here, I'm pretty impressed, and this one certainly did, so neat. That's great. Well, that's what I got for you guys. The next part of the ride is simply red lights and traffic, so I'm going to let you guys go. Remember to ride fast and take chances.